Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And before I get started, I know there was an issue last episode, so I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Can somebody just confirm that they can actually hear me? On here, we're live on this Monday afternoon. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me before we go ahead and get started. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for allowing the State of the Saints podcast to be a part I know I did. I had a really good weekend. For those that may follow me on social media, you know, my son, Paxton, he started football for the first time this past weekend, man. And I was just extremely excited to see my little man out there playing, you know, little flag football, getting accustomed to playing. And it was pretty cool to watch, man. And also the little kids that's on his team, man, they all excited and ready to play. So that was a pretty good sight to see. I mean, as a parent, man, seeing your kid involved in sports is pretty cool, man. But other than that, just kind of chilled over the weekend, man. Didn't really do no podcasting, to be honest with you. Just kind of spent some time with the family. And, you know, now I'm back at it, man. And I wasn't on social media like that, man. I mean, I tweeted a little bit about the fight with Clarissa Shields over the weekend. But other than that, man, I was chilling. So I would say shocked would be an understatement when I woke up this morning and I seen some of the news surfacing about our favorite team, the New Orleans Saints, and pertaining to the Catholic Church. Now, I didn't want to have a conversation like this, man, because anytime you're talking about something of this magnitude, you know, you got to handle it with fine-tooth gloves, man. There are individuals out there that are hurting because of what happened to them and what they had to deal with. And it's unfortunate, but you know, when the thing that happens conjoins itself to the New Orleans Saints organization, you kind of have to talk about it, man. And I was reading an article from the Associated Press this morning, and it kind of talked a little bit about it. I'll read a little bit of it, and then we'll kind of get into it. It says, as New Orleans church leaders brace for the fallout from publishing a list of predatory Catholic priests, they turn to an unlikely ally, the front office of the city's NFL franchise. What followed was month-long crisis communication blitz orchestrated by the New Orleans Saints president and other top team officials, according to hundreds of internal emails obtained by the Associated Press. The records, which the Saints and the church had long sought to keep out of public view, revealed team executives played a more extensive role than previously known in a public relations campaign to mitigate fallout from the clergy's sexual abuse scandal. The email shed new light on the Saints and their fraught topics far from the gridiron, a behind-the-scenes effort driven by the team's devout Catholic owner who has long enjoyed a close relationship with the city's embattled archbishop. So as you can see, man, there was some things that I guess the team didn't want the public to be privy to. a lot of things going on behind the scenes. And it seems to me like the New Orleans Saints, they said that they were, I guess, trying to help when it comes to like damage control and PR stuff, like, just kind of, I guess, like getting them like prepared in regards to how they were going to speak to the media. And that's all they said they pretty much did. But it says Saints executive were so involved in the church damage control that a team spokesman briefed his boss on a 2018 call with the city's top prosecutor hours before the church released a list of clergymen accused of abuse. The call, the spokesman said, allowed us to take certain people off the list. So this is not good, man. This is not good. Team officials were among the first people outside the church to view that list, a careful yet uncountered roster of suspected P words. Y'all know what I'm saying, right? The disclose of those names invited civil claims against the church and drew attention from federal and state law enforcement. The team president, Dennis Lauscher, drafted more than a dozen questions that Archbishop George Amand should be prepared to answer as he faced reports. Man, I'm just going to say this, all right? I understand people's faith and your religion and how devoted you are to that. As a Baptist, as a Christian, growing up in the church, everybody knows this, man. My grandfather is a pastor. My stepfather is a minister. My dad is one of the elders for the Jehovah's Witness. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, church has been, involved in my life in some capacity. You get what I'm saying? So I can understand like how, you can be devoted to your Christianity, your Catholicism, et cetera, et cetera. But to know that there's some fire, you know what I'm saying? Not just smoke, but some fire, and you still try to get yourself involved in that is not a very good look. And the fact that it seems like the New Orleans Saints organization lied about it and their involvement, and it just makes them look even worse. And when you're thinking about this situation, when it comes to the Catholic Church, all of these young men that were involved in this and how this has affected them psychologically, I'm pretty sure you've probably seen some of the interviews from some of the young men who came out and talked a little bit about their experiences. There was even a story that said that one of the guys that were accused of what transpired was on a boat. Well, Gail Benson's boat. Like it's pretty deep there, man. And I know some people are probably saying, man, this is sports. What does this have to do with anything? If the Saints get found of any type of foul play, this can affect the football team. I mean, this goes, against the NFL's personal conduct policy. So by them being in the light, in the limelight, in this regard, could cost them something major down the line. And like I said, this isn't a good look at all. I feel like if they did try to aid and abet the Catholic Church, they ought to be ashamed of themselves when it comes to them trying to cover that up. Now, if you're trying to aid and abet somebody that you feel like is innocent and all that kind of stuff there, I mean, and you feel in your heart and you got some evidence to prove that this person is innocent, by all means. But the fact that you kind of knew that something was there, but you still went about you not even went about your business, but you went as far as to try to protect them, to tell them how they need to speak to the media, who needs to be on the list, who doesn't need to be on the list. And then also all of the emails that you had going back and forth, kind of talking about, getting updates on what happened and trying to help individuals that were guilty of these things, like how to help them navigate through it. Like it's not a good look, man. People like this do not need to see the light of day. Like if they do stuff like this and they hurting kids and they hurting children, Like you shouldn't do anything to protect them. You should allow the law to handle up on their business. And like I said, I understand about faith and how people can join their faith and they don't want like people that they love and admire and respect to find themselves in hot water. But when you are putting yourself out there and you are a brand, right? And you're an owner of a football team, it's not a very good one right now, but nonetheless, it's a football team. It's high profile. For you to do that, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But this is also just more just to add on to the frustrations of Saints fans everywhere. Like, it just seems like this team just always find themselves in some type of precarious situation that makes them look terrible. And this is another case. But this is like a whole different can of worms. Like, bad practices when it comes to like football and having a GM that doesn't seem like he really understands how the modern day NFL works, that's one thing. But when you are out here trying to protect individuals that have harmed children and have caused them mental anguish still to this day of things that have happened in the 80s and in the 90s, and for you to do that, that's pretty bad. And if they did do that, then I feel like, I know people don't want to hear this, but if you did do that, if you edit and abetted individuals, if you try to I guess try to weasel your way into the situation to try to protect them, I do feel like something needs to happen to the team, because we don't need individuals like this trying to cover up anything. I'm just saying, if they did it, I mean, I have to see everything come out. But as far as these emails is concerned, like, it's kind of hard for you to kind of kick against the prick there. So they're out there, but they ought to be ashamed of themselves. And if something happens to the New Orleans Saints, like, I know people don't want to hear it, but something should. Like, if you're out here doing stuff like this, trying to protect individuals that need to be under the jail, need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, you got to do it. You got to allow that to happen. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous right here. Like, you knew something was wrong there, and you still trying to protect these individuals, man. That's pretty sad. I was looking at I was actually reading one of the interviews like right before the show, and I'm reading from this I guess at the time he was a young kid, now he's a grown man, and you can tell even by like reading like some of the things that this man endured as a kid. It's pretty doggone awful. And if the Saints are trying to protect individuals like this, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. I'm sorry. Like, we gotta, I understand like people, don't want things to happen to people that you're close to and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes, man, you got to just step out of the way. The Saints shouldn't even put themselves in this situation. But, why, if you don't feel like you're guilty of anything, I feel like, why are you trying to, send people to court and all that kind of stuff? It seems like you're trying to hide something. And maybe this is what they were trying to hide, but the Associated Press, they got their hands on this. And now not only does the local individuals know about it, but the national audience knows about it. So it's not a really good look for the New Orleans Saints. And they ought to be ashamed of themselves. Like, seriously, if they were involved in this and aiding and abetting, individuals that were, I guess they were accused of pedophilia. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to, it's sad, bro. Like, I don't even know what other words to say. It's pretty sad right here. Like, I don't even feel comfortable having this conversation, but it's just something that happens pertaining to the team, and it could affect long-term, I guess like long-term things that the Saints could be dealing with. It could affect you from draft picks to, people getting fired. So let's just sit back and see what's going to happen. But this was just absolutely ridiculous. Because there's never any good news with this team. Yeah, it seems that way, man. It seems that way. It seems like they never. It seems like as of late, there's never really anything optimistic or positive about this football team. And I guess, if you combine the fact of, all of the, like I said, all the bad practices that has taken place, all of the bad news that has come out, and how the morale of the team is as of right now. And then, like I said, you add this on, it's just a shot to the gut. And it just makes you like kind of want to tune out even more. They shouldn't even put themselves in that position. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest with you. But I mean, I'm gonna go there. If you from the city of the city of New Orleans or the state of Louisiana, man, you already know, man. There's a lot of corruption going on around there, and has been for a long time. I mean, y'all. I know some of y'all remember Edwin Edwards, the governor who went to prison for like a decade. Ray Nagin. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always been like some type of corruption going on, around the city of New Orleans, state of Louisiana. Like, there's always some things, being covered up. There's always some type of corruption behind the scenes, and has been like that, like basically my entire life, like growing up. Like, there's always like been like different investigations and scandals and all that kind of stuff that been going on from the city ranks and from the state ranks, from politicians stealing money, from individuals making pretend contracts, and also allowing like smoke-filled room deals to be happening behind the scenes where they, the evidence should never see the light of day. Like, this stuff has been going on for a long time, folks. Like, if you like around my age or older, you know what I'm talking about, man. This stuff has been popping off for a long time. Like, we all know, if you from Louisiana, from New Orleans, from the Gulf Coast area, you already know. Unfortunately, we're associated with Catholics who have a long and disgusting history when it comes to abusing young boys. Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, and you hate to like kind of like conjoin like all members of the Catholic Church into this, but it does put a negative light on Catholicism. It just does. Like, it's kind of like I was thinking about how I was going to approach this, and try to coincide it with sports, but I got to put some real life examples out there as well. It's kind of like why I feel like the disassociation between the Baptist church and Christianity and church in general and individuals are being separate, because it's like, when it comes to your faith, when it comes to your religion, it's a trust factor. It's a trust between your minister and yourself. In this case, the priest, and those boys, they trusted in those men because they were men of God, right? And for them to exercise that type of power to manipulate and abuse these young boys sexually like this, that's sad. And like I said, this is why there's a disconnect in modern day society when it comes to religion at times. People aren't as embedded in their faith, or they're not, trying to go to church all the time. They're not trying to be that involved in it, because when you see and hear about stories like this, it kind of turns you off from the fact or your interest in doing that. Rather, it's like from I guess like from a Baptist standpoint, when you hear about, the minister, having, relations with somebody in a congregation, or in this case, like I said, you're dealing with sexual abuse here. But like I said, when it comes to the saints, they should have never put themselves in this situation. And, there's a time when you just have to walk away, and I feel like this was it. Like, I don't even know why you would want to be involved in this in the first place, especially if you knew how it was going to turn out. Like, based on the emails and based on the information, you had to believe and know that this wasn't going to end well, but you were willing to kind of stick your neck out, because there's a possibility that you were going to get caught. But sometimes, like when you're rich and you're powerful and you got a lot of things going for you and you feel like you made out of Teflon, sometimes you don't think about what's the alternate, situation, what could possibly happen, right? Because everything kind of works in your favor. You don't think about the ramifications of what you're actually doing. And I'm pretty sure they didn't. I'm pretty sure they didn't think those emails would surface like that, but they did. And now you look really, really bad. And I don't know. I don't know how they're going to get out of this situation. I'm pretty sure, if you probably can try to lob it to sleep or whatever like that, maybe, not have it in the news cycles as often. But when you have it, with the Associated Press, like that's not just local, that's nationally. So I don't know how you're going to be able to navigate through this situation. I hate to break it to you. This is a nothing burger for the Saints organization. They already claiming it was illegal advice. Yeah, it might be a nothing burger, but it's still not a good look in modern society. It's just not. It may not be nothing, but I'm just saying, like, you don't want to be involved in stuff like that. You just don't. Like it's unnecessary. Like, because you didn't have to get yourself involved in this. And you knew if your name was conjoined to it, I don't care if it was like one email that you sent, it's still going to, affect the organization. People are still going to like mention you because you own the organization if you're Gail Benson, and the Saints because they're high profile, like their NFL team. Like if you're an NFL team, you're one of the most well-known, like sports teams in the entire country or the world, so of course they're going to try to conjoin your name to it. That's just the way that it goes. So, like I said, those emails, it's not a good look. This is bad for our team. I'm a huge fan of the Saints. This is crazy. This is why we can't win or get the staff we needed. Yes, really a shame. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this affects the staff, but to me, it does help you kind of understand like why they so very slow to try to move things around, what I'm saying? Because they got when you got Greg Benzel, what I'm saying, getting involved in the joint, and then Loucher name coming up and all that kind of stuff, like, man, that just shows you like how close-knit bosom buddies they really are like that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, you willing to, you willing to, send an email, you willing to, set something up for, I guess like a consultation. Like, I guess I can see why, right? I mean, they all close it, you sending emails to this person and this person, so that probably has something to do with, that closeness. I don't know if that, is the reason why they don't want to move on from one another. I don't know, but for, that just shows you like the family structure that this team actually had. And I think that's something that we talked about here, as well as other places have talked about it as well. Like this family knit organization where, they're not having the tough conversations like other organizations will when people are not doing their job effectively. They're not, they're not doing what's best for business, so to speak. They get fired. But it just seems like with the New Orleans Saints, you can screw up as many times as you want, but you're going to be around there somewhere. It's rather, they're going to tell you to go off and hide for a couple of weeks and maybe everything will die down, like they did, I think, in Dennis Allen's like second year when everybody was like, I wonder if he's going to get fired. And, they just kind of didn't say anything for a month. And then all of a sudden he surfaced at a coach's meeting. Like, we ain't just see you just coach this team and made them look like slaw and missed the playoffs the second consecutive year. Like I said, man, I don't know. Like, it just seems like, this family structure that they have might end up being a detriment of this team because nobody really wants to hold each other accountable. And it seems like they just so close to a point where they won't have those conversations. So, unless some good things end up happening for the football team, I feel like it's going to be pretty miserable for Saints fans if things don't pan out with this whole Kellen Moore experience, which more than likely is going to happen. It's going to be pretty rough, man, because there's not going to be any type of ramifications, even if this Kellen Moore experience don't work out. You think Adele make her sell the team? I don't think it's gonna get to that point. You know, I don't think it's gonna get to that point. But if they find out like there's some like real true foul play going on, I mean, it might affect the Saints when it comes to like draft picks or something like that. But and probably have to pay like a hefty fine. But I don't think it's getting to a point where she have to sell the team. The rich are the grimiest people imaginable. I don't want to say all rich people, are grimy, but I do feel like, when you're in a certain tax bracket, you feel like the rules don't always, affect you, or, they don't apply to you. There we go. They don't apply to you. Like sometimes like you just walk around and feel like nothing can actually touch you. And when you in a city like, New Orleans, a state like Louisiana, where it's not a relatively huge state, or like even a huge enough city for like you to just get lost in the shuffle, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you pretty powerful if you got that type of money, like so sometimes you feel like the rules don't apply to you, so sometimes you move accordingly. And but sometimes people go on these personal crusades to try to make sure that people that's out here that are out here guilty of corruption and doing things that they end up getting, I guess when they get their moment where they have to answer for their crimes. But when you're in a situation like that, like I said, when you're rich and powerful, sometimes you just feel like the rules don't apply to you, and you don't even think about like how your decisions can end up like causing you personal harm in the future, because you're just so used to things kind of going your way that you don't even think about like what would happen if somebody catches me. You don't even think about that because you just feel like you got so many people, rather it's lawyers, rather it's people that can kind of scrub the internet clean of any type of wrongdoing. Come out with a really good press release to make you sound like like you're remorseful, or like you got all these people on your team to make you look a certain way, right? And sometimes people just take that stuff for granted, and sometimes they get caught slipping, and emails show up by the Associated Press. Now Kellen Moore may change his mind. I doubt it. I don't think he would change his mind. I don't think so. Let's see. NFL needs to force new ownership. Yeah, I mean, in certain situations, but I guess that you have to see how this thing gonna play out. I mean, I know we can use the example of Bill Snyder with the Commanders. They end up forcing him to sell the team, but I mean, they had so much stuff going on over the course of time in the Commanders organization. Sexual misconduct, all that kind of stuff. So it was like a powder keg, of things that were going on, and then all of a sudden it just exploded, and it was to a point where he just couldn't necessarily deny it. And it didn't help that he had a bad reputation amongst NFL owners. They weren't really too much of fans of him. A lot of them wanted him to sell the team years before he ended up doing it, because they knew it was going to look bad. So but I don't think it's going to get to that point. It would, some more stuff would have to come out, and but I don't think it's going to end up, it's going to lead to them selling the team. If Louisiana loses its only NFL team, I can only imagine how people will react. Yeah, I don't think it'll get to that point. If anything, if push comes to shove or something like really serious happen, they'll probably like put the team up, and it probably end up being somebody that's local in Louisiana area that would be get a chance to actually buy him. Or it'd probably be like an ownership group, like a collection of individuals from the state that get together and buy the team. But I don't think it's going to get to that point. Robert Kraft is a better position with NFL than Saints are, though. Well, I don't know, man. I can't say that, because I think that we sometimes feel like people are in better positions because they're more in the spotlight and the limelight. But why is Robert Kraft in the spotlight and limelight? It's not like he Jerry Jones or something like that. It's because the Patriots were winning a lot. Like, that's the reason why you know who he is. Like, who's the owner who's the owner of the Detroit Lions? Like full name? I mean, you know she a Ford, right? But do you know her name? Like, who's the owner of the Arizona Cardinals? Like, do you know his name? But if you have like certain owners, like, you know, Mara, you know, from the New York Giants, why? Because they high profile. Jerry Jones, because he high profile. The ownership group of the Commanders with Magic Johnson, because they high profile. You know, Howie Roseman, you know, like, you know, guys that evolve, you know what I'm saying, with these organizations, you know them, you know what I'm saying, and you know, because of, you know, them being high profile or them winning a lot. Like, we don't know it. Like, you know, I just think it's not the fact that Robert Kraft is just, you know, he's so well respected. I mean, I think they all have levels of respect. It's just the fact that his team has won so much. You know, you may feel like he has like all of the cachet, but I'm pretty sure, you know, Gail Benson has cachet among NFL owners. I mean, she's not the most popular one, but I have to believe, like, if you're a rich and powerful owner, you know, you got some levels of cachet. Yeah, of all people in the world, let's seek out legal advice from the New Orleans Saints Pelicans organization about child molesters in the church. Yeah, I understand that one. Y'all research this because this is old and she was clear. Yeah, I mean, this ain't, I mean, if you're talking about the story itself, yeah, it dates back to 2018. But the emails that have surfaced, who that daddy, are, you know, more recent developments. So yes, I mean, you are right about this. But it's one thing when, you know, a situation occurs and it's like, okay, she was found clear because there was no evidence, right? You know, but when there are new developments, now you have to answer for that. That's not what you call double jeopardy, right? They say double jeopardy is like you can't be, you know, accused of the same crime twice, right? I'm not saying that she committed a crime or anybody in the organization committed a crime. I mean, like, I don't know who did what, but all I'm saying is, like, if you get cleared of a situation, okay, we got this happening right now, there's evidence against you. And we like, oh, we didn't find any wrongdoing. Okay, you cleared. But now we got this over here. Now you got to answer for this. So it's two different things that we talking about here. Like I said, if it was just something, you know, like, oh, it was found like and the evidence was presented in the same case, then they can't, you know, use that again as what they call double jeopardy. But when you got new developments, now you got to answer for that. So they can come through with a completely different case against you, and it don't even have to involve any of the information that you used the first time. They can just basically just, you know, set this thing up with more recent developments to try to use something against you if there was any wrongdoing. So Dennis Allen said, okay, y'all want to fire me, then bet. I'm telling you. I don't think he was the one that blew the whistle, man. They've been working on this for a long time, man. Like, from what was said in these articles, like, they were trying to get these emails for a long time. So they recently just got them. So this is something that they've been asking for. What are y'all getting confused with morality and what is considered illegal? Let's see. Me Too PG. What all the happenings going on, Saints fan for life? Just because it's immoral doesn't mean it's illegal. Well, the thing about it is, I guess, you know, people looking at it like you lied about your involvement in the situation. So it could make you look a certain way to people. So, but I mean, yeah, there is a way, you know, people doing immoral things, but what you ain't doing, you know, is considered illegal. But I don't know, man. I mean, but if you're taking names off a list of guys or, you know what I'm saying, priests that were accused of, you know, sexual misconduct, then that is a crime. Like, that is a crime right there. You know, shoot, that you definitely can go to that's tampering right there. So, you know what I'm saying, that you tamper with evidence, that's evidence, you know what I'm saying, that can actually you know, be used to try to, I guess, you know, try to indict, or, you know what I'm saying, and try to, you know, send somebody to jail, send them to prison. So if you trying to, like, okay, man, let's take his name off right here because we know he did what he did, or like we know they're gonna come down on him, such and such, such and such. So I mean, it's like, yeah, like if you telling people, okay, leave it, you can leave him. Don't take him off. Like, yeah, that is that is illegal. PG, I'm with you. They are blowing this out of proportion. She is devout Catholic and was clearly trying to protect the church, not the pedophile. But look, how can you protect the church by protecting the person that is guilty of pedophilia here? Like, you can't. Like I say, man, it's almost like you can't say, oh man, the church is under attack. Nah. I mean, there's a Catholic church, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? All around. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's happening and what's going on here, you just got to let that thing play out. Especially if they did what they're being accused of doing. Like, why are you trying to protect that? We can try to wrap it up in any type of way we want to. Like, what you're doing is you're trying to protect those individuals. You can't, like, it's not like, oh, I'm out here, I'm on this personal crusade to save the Catholic Church. Like, if somebody if somebody is guilty of a crime, like, you got to let the law of the land play out. Like, that's just what it is. Like, sitting up here trying to, protect people that should clearly be incarcerated for their crimes. I mean, you can put it any way you want to. You can say that, you protecting the church. You can say you protecting the name, but no, like, you aiding and abetting. Especially if you try to go through great lengths, like, write emails and try to cover them up in order for, them never to see the light of day. I mean, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Like, I ain't, if a person is guilty of a crime, I'm not trying to sit up here and trying to, like, protect you like that. Like, especially if, if my name is on the line. Like, it'd be one thing if you didn't do what they're saying that you did. Like, I can understand, like, okay, I'll be on the front line for you. But when you have to, like, taking people names off the list and all that kind of stuff, or, being accused of doing something like that, or doing those type of practices, like, that shows you right there, like, like, that's a little bit too far, in my opinion. Giving legal advice to criminals is not illegal. That's what I'm talking about. Unless I'm missing something, the organization was helping them legally. There's nothing illegal about it. I guess, like you said, is more of, like, what someone was saying earlier, is like, I guess, like a moral, immoral type thing, right? But the question is, like, okay, if you know that this first off, let me backtrack. First off, you're not a lawyer, right? So if you're a lawyer and somebody guilty and you still represent them or give them legal advice, I mean, that's a natural practice that happens all the time. But you're an NFL team. Like, you're an NFL team. Like, and as far as, like, with the district attorney and lawyers and stuff like that, like, they pretty good at what they do. Like, they don't need the Saints organization to intervene. Like, so I don't understand, like, why would you get involved in the first place? That part I don't understand. Like, oh, I'm in trouble. Let me call the Saints. Like, huh? I'm in trouble. Let me call the Saints. Like, that's kind of, I mean, from a spiritual standpoint, okay, but from an actual organization, the Saints standpoint, like, that's insane. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Like, why get yourself involved in that? That's what I don't understand. Damn, now y'all putting me in the scandal. I'm just trying to make you understand how it's not illegal. Allegations like this is unacceptable, period. Probably time for new ownership and a whole new front office. Well, I don't think that's going to happen. Like I said, I go back to what I'm saying. Like, these people are too close, buddy. And, they look at each other as a family. Like, that's the one thing that I have an issue with, when it comes to business. Like, I don't feel like you should mix family with business like that. Like, I just feel like it's just a matter of time. You're going to have a tough conversation with somebody that you love if you're in business with your family. And sometimes you're going to be hesitant to have that conversation because you don't want to, one, possibly hurt that person's feelings, or two, end up causing a rift between the two of you, or the three of you, or how many in business with you. That's why I say you got to be able to separate business from family. And if I got to second guess the conversation and how I'm going to approach the conversation with you, I'm too involved. I'm too emotionally involved. Because that's one thing that I've always done. Like when I was in management, I mean, still in management now, but to a much different degree. When I was doing retail management before I got into broadcasting, and you have these tough conversations with the individuals that I don't want to say work for you, but that's a part of your team, right? And sometimes you might have to tell them something that they don't want to hear. And sometimes, unfortunately, you have to have a conversation that may involve somebody being fired. So, you got to kind of, have that kind of conversation where you're approachable and stuff like that, but understand like it's a business as well. And I don't know, man, it just seems to me that a lot of these things that are happening with this team, it just shows you like how close knit this organization is. And it just makes you wonder, like, if somebody isn't on the up and up when it comes to their job, performing their job, will they be able to make the change, or will they continue to be like, hey, like, you'll get it right next time? I don't feel like that's the best thing for business. Bro, I grew up in the Catholic Church. These priests were doing stuff that the Archbishop knew nothing about. Again, they were not protecting the crime she gave out her lawyers. Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, man. We got to be careful with this too, because sometimes, like, when we close to the situation, we try to do what we can to try to protect it, or we try to, make excuses for it. Me personally, I just don't understand it. I don't understand who, like, I don't care what type of what type of relationship we have. I just don't understand, like, why would they solicit the help of the Saints organization to, like, what do we like do it to prompt them, like, on like some PR stuff? I just don't understand it, man. Like, I don't get it. Like, the Catholic Church, they ain't broke. You know what I'm saying? They got plenty of money. I'm pretty sure they can outsource for some a legal team, as well as a person that can work with PR and stuff like that. Didn't have to solicit the help of the Saints. I just think that they had too much to lose in this matter, regardless to like how we want to dress it up. The thing about it is, we already know, right? There's two courts. There's the court of law and there's the court of public opinion. When this story comes out, people aren't going to read the fine. Well, they're not going to read the fine print. They're going to read NFL email reveals extent of Saints damage control for clergy sex abuse scandal. Why? Because that's the headline. And what they're going to do, they're going to run with it. Oh, I know that the New Orleans Saints, that's the reason why they ain't winning nothing. That's the reason why they can't do anything right. That's what people going to do. Like, people aren't going to like go into like the fine details and try to figure this thing out. They're just going to run with it. And regardless to any type of, whatever type of involvement they have, but rather it's big or small. If it's small, people are not going to care. If it's big, people are going to exacerbate it even more, because that's the way society is now. So in the eyes of the general public, they're already guilty of wrongdoing, regardless of like what type of role that they played in. And us, having these talks and these conversations about it, it's not going to make things easier for the New Orleans Saints organization. It's just not. Whether you feel like they did nothing wrong or not, the reality is, in a court of public opinion, they already been found guilty. They're not going to make us sell the team. I agree with that. Because they moving like the mob, is all ties there. Let's see. I can't believe some folk think it's just a fine. This is serious, Gail. It's no exception. And please don't forget Tom Benson was a crook too. Look, man, I ain't gonna even touch on that. I ain't even gonna touch on that. All I know is they shouldn't have put themselves in that type of situation. That's just my opinion. Like and here's, like I said, if I felt like the person was innocent, right? If I felt like the person was innocent and I can like use my resources to help that individual, like, you know, be exonerated. Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I do that, right? Because I feel like that person didn't do it. There was evidence that kind of proved that, and I want to support this person. But when you out here helping somebody, like allegedly take names off a list, and you know what I'm saying, like keep this person, like when you trying to do stuff like that, you're basically trying to set it up to try to make them look as less incriminating as possible. That I can't get down with. You know, that's when I feel like, you know, the fix is in, so to speak. But if you just offered up your services, you know, to somebody that you felt like, oh, okay, man, I really believe this person, I trust this person. Cool. But like when you see that there's something there and you still try to go out your way to try to help this person, I don't know. Especially like if you're just some billionaire, you know, that just have a bunch of money and yeah, your name will come up, but we're talking about an owner of a high profile NFL team, regardless of how good, how bad they are, high profile. Because like football is the most popular sport in America. So I don't know why you would put yourself in that situation. I just don't. This means we lost Kellen Moore. Nah, I don't believe this has anything to do with it. That's the horrible part. Keeping the names off the list, like WTF are we doing here? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when you look, it's one thing if you tell it, look, I call you up. All right, who that daddy? I call you up. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, how you doing? Who that daddy? Hey, man, hey, check this out. All right. I just hurt somebody real bad, man. They unconscious on the floor. Man, are they alive? I don't know, man. I don't know. And you tell me, man, you know what you need to do? You need to call the police, man. Call the police. Now, you just basically just giving me some, you know, some good advice. Like, okay, man, look, you hurt somebody, call the police. It just makes you look incriminating that, okay, if you leave the scene. Now, if I call you up, who that man, this person unconscious, man, I think they gone, man. Are they still alive? I don't think so, man. All right, I'll be over there 5 minutes. And you come over there and we both collectively move the body from out of the house until somewhere else, right? That's accessory. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like you may not have been there when it happened, but you helped me and assist me to get away with this situation. So all I'm saying is you still, like, if you are moving names off the list, like if I'm like, okay, look, I got this right here. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I got this legal team. I got this PR team right here. I'm going to help you out. All right. Boom, right there. Okay, what you going to say to the media? Okay, we're going to say this, this, and that. Okay, maybe you need to word this, that, and that. Cool, right? Okay, I just gave you some legal stuff. But here's the problem. When I'm asking, is there a list? Yeah, there's a list. Take his name off the list. Now you keep his name. When you start doing stuff like that, that's accessory. That, like, honestly, like you're assisting to commit a crime, regardless if you were there at the beginning or not. Like you said, like offering up your legal team, there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's legal. But what becomes illegal when you tamper with said evidence to try to make them look as innocent as possible. Like you right now, you didn't commit the crime, but you helped me move the body out the house. And that's what it's looking like. It looked like the New Orleans Saints organization helped the Catholic Church move the body. And it's not a good look. And even like, and even in cases like that, what do they try to do? Like, go to any crime show that you actually see. If the person showed up and becomes accessory after the fact, they try to make a way where that person can end up looking like they were accessory before the fact. So even if they, just offer up legal services to them, they still going to be trying to find ways to how they can put the New Orleans Saints organization in the middle of this situation. And right now, the way that it's looking, and I say this with all due respect, it looked like on some queen pin type stuff. You know what I'm saying? It looked like some queen pin type stuff. So that's all I'm saying, man. Like there's nothing illegal about offering up advice and legal services that you have. But when you start like checking out emails and talking to this person and telling people to like change some things on the list and change individuals' names, that's accessory, man. Like, and in a way, in the eyes of the law, it's almost like you're about as guilty as the person that actually committed the crime. Because you had opportunity to blow the whistle and you didn't. You don't think Kellen Moore will back out? I don't think so. I don't think he's gonna back out over this. She has a billion reasons why she helped them. Let's see. It really do, TJ. Yeah, man. Like I know. We'll end up like having another show. I'll probably have a show a little bit later on tonight where we talk more about New Orleans Saints football. I didn't want to have this conversation, talk about this stuff like this, but like I said, when it involves the team, kind of have no choice. Kind of have no choice but to talk about it. It's just not a good look, man. It's just not a good look. But like I said, we'll be back this evening, talking Saints football. Probably do a show. Be on the lookout for the notification around 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. We'll talk a little bit about Kellen Moore a little bit more. Talk a little bit about the Senior Bowl. Talk a little bit about Saints football in general, man. Bring your Saints questions with you. I don't know what's going to happen from this, man. It's just not a good look. And I just feel for those young men that had to deal with that situation. I think sometimes, like when we try to these forums and we go back and forth, we forget about their actual victims in this situation. Like, and just imagine if there was somebody that rather it was your brother, your friend, your father. Like how would that make you feel? Like that they would be hurting or going through those type of situations, that mental anguish, that psychological turmoil that is. So I just think that it's unfortunate, man. And when you basically hold up the process for a person to be able to get the justice that they seek, it's kind of hard for me to sympathize with that. Like I said, I don't know the magnitude. I'm willing to, wait and allow everything to come out before I, base my opinion. But all I'm saying is, like, we got to be very careful when dealing with situations like this and, standing on the front line for certain things, because, people hurting in these situations, man. And you got young men that's still dealing with mental issues to this day because of it. But be sure to check me out on social media on X at TJAYJones8. Also, Facebook.com, search Gumbo Pod Sports Podcast. And I got a new channel that I'm going to come out with. Probably going to be later on this week, man. It's going to be a State of the Saints podcast shorts, and probably going to be doing more like news style episodes. It's not going to be long. Probably be like 8 to 10 minutes. So it's going to be a State of the Saints podcast shorts. Probably going to end up like kind of just, like I said, doing 8 to 10 minute little videos on different topics of the New Orleans Saints and more of a news style form. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to launch that channel later on this week. Also, Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones on Wednesday at 7 p.m. We'll be talking Saints football, coaching search, getting you ready for the Super Bowl, et cetera, et cetera. So got a lot of things going on this week. See you all later on this evening. If you're watching this live on a Monday, please hit the subscribe button if you have not already. Hit the like button if you enjoy the podcast. And also the podcast is powered by BETUS. You can sign up today, get up to 150% on your first deposit, up to 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000. Till next time, all I got to say is,
thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.